Be happy. Don't worry, be
Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Welcome to Not Too Sure This Is About podcast. Cement aka Stones here on the mic from
Wait,
Zimbabwe.
you forgot. No, brother. Cement, aka
Oh,
Stone.
I forgot also the the Middle Eastern. It's brother Cement aka Stones from the Middle
And
East.
brother Derp Gamer 1990.
Shukran. Marhaba, brother Dub.
Habibi.
How are you? How are you, Habibti?
I am very good, my brother. How are you? I trust you are fine in this month of Ramadan. Yes.
Yeah, Ramadan is very hard, very difficult. You know, it's making of the fastings. It's
I'll be honest
very
with you.
difficult.
The first couple of fasts I had back home, they were horrible. They were so hard because it's so hot. But in Qatar, it's almost like I don't feel anything. It's so chill, you know.
Hey, man. Hey, look. I can't even sympathize on that. You know what I do during Ramadan? And I
Yeah.
eat.
Oh my God.
Day
You, you
and
know you know
night.
restaurants are closed during daytime here, in respect. Yeah, dude. That's what you gotta be like.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. You see, um, with Ramadan, I respect one thing about Ramadan, man. It teaches discipline. It teaches somebody to be disciplined enough to say, you know what, I'm gonna let go with all the jacking off and
Isn't isn't that like something called Lent or something in Christianity or something?
Lent.
Like,
Nah, it's. See, the thing about Christianity is like there's no one actual like specified date in which it's like it's compulsory to fast. You fast if you want to, and if you don't want to, well, you're not a bad Christian. You're just a Christian who doesn't want to fast. I mean,
that feels
you
like
know, the pillars of Christianity is quite ambiguous in some parts, and that Lent stuff is just one example of it. But
I mean,
I respect Islam because it's actually like a prerequisite, like you're supposed to do it. Part along with the Hajj thing, it just makes it so much easier to say, "Oh, yeah, this is what makes me good in the eyes of the beholder." And yeah,
yeah.
I think that's pretty
It
cool, man.
Yeah, I figured I mean, you say it teaches you discipline. It doesn't. Well, it teaches you discipline by forcing you. You know, it's not like you have an option to be disciplined. You have to be disciplined.
Yeah,
Which I
well,
guess is a
sometimes
double like.
the hardest lessons, are just the
It's like
hardest
that.
lessons
It's
are
like that
forced.
debate about beating your children.
Okay, elaborate.
No. I
Elaborate,
don't. I
dog.
don't. I don't want to go into that. All right. Before we start getting into the meat, which I have prepared, because this time, I mean, I haven't really prepared it. It's just something that I thought of yesterday. But before we go into that,
Oh, wait, before we go, yeah, before we go into the, as we say, into the meat, we still have the skeleton. I'd like to apologize to my family and my colleagues for not putting enough effort into this podcast, man. I recognize we're being sporadic with our release dates, but we also have other obligations, and this is
all
actually a
right. Let's get this out the
non-profit.
way. Let's get this out of the way, okay? We're very lazy, and are usually busy playing video games when there's a recording session set.
Oh,
Also, when we do end up going to recording sessions, one of us is either not recording or the audio file is corrupted. And this has happened the last two times.
I think, look, that's all part of the lack of professionality and the non-profit aspect of this collaboration. You hear me? If I was getting $100 on this bitch, you think I'd sleep on this?
Exactly. If we were
A
getting money,
hundred
any
dollars,
money, sponsors, anything, we would be sucking dick and stripping. But that's
dude,
a
dude. You know what? Matter of fact, I'm gonna beg for these sponsors.
no,
I'm
no,
just gonna start
no,
dropping
no, no. Your
dropping
dignity.
ads. I'm gonna Truman show this bitch.
How could you,
Dropping
man?
subtle
We
ads.
swore to never do this again. Again? I don't know what I said again.
Again, did we do it last time?
We were talking about it last time as well. We were talking about sponsors and stuff. I can't
Oh,
believe
dude.
so much content just went down the drain because our audio file was so bad.
You know what? This is part of the disappointments that we feel. And maybe some fans are gonna be disappointed. You know what? For this episode, man, I'm gonna be realistic. Oof, I'm looking at single-digit views. Oof, I can see it now.
I'm looking
I
at
had a
any
dream about
digit
it.
views, okay? Any digit
I'm
views.
I'm hoping for like any digit. I mean, I know we always got Kabashi. Yeah, Kabashi, big
I like
man.
how
Ooh,
Kabashi is
ooh,
like a
ooh,
recurring viewer.
ooh. Yo, I
I
love
don't
you, dude. I'm not sure who else listens to this, but I know Kabashi's
Well, I
on
mean,
this, man.
okay. Here's the thing, right? If we actually get to publish this, you send me the link and we can do some promotion. Okay, I'll promote it within my circles and you promote it within your circles, and then we ask them to promote it in their circles, and it's like a cascading butterfly effect.
Yeah,
Everybody's
man.
talking about it. Gucci, all right. Finally,
Gucci.
finally, we might
Then
hit double
I
digits.
can find, yeah. Then we can finally get some profit on this, and I can squander it all
I
on
think
Gucci's flip flops.
I think profit is a long way off. Honestly, maybe like a year before we even have triple digits, okay? But then
Okay,
another year
okay.
after that, maybe we have four digits, okay? So it's an exponential growth, but the start is very slow. That's what I think, right?
You see them big words? It shows that we actually know what we're doing here.
So I was
Okay?
reading some articles online, right? And these famous podcasters, people ask them, "Should I start my own podcast?" And the famous podcasters like, "No, don't," because the market's too saturated. There's too many people trying to earn a living from this when it's not, not something you can achieve in a short period of time. And
Yeah.
it takes a lot of work to get to the very starting point from which you grow. But you know what? We don't care, do we?
Yeah. No, no, we don't. Profits? Look, dude, I don't even care. I don't even.
Honestly, we don't get anything out of this podcast except just talking about random shit and fucking putting it online. I don't know why we do
Yeah,
it, to
dude.
be honest.
I guess it's just a part of look, we need to come to grasp with who we are in this society. And the reality is we're fucking geeks. Fucking nerds, man.
Yeah, we
And this
are.
is what we do. This is our mantra. This is our program. I've been trying to promote it here in the Netherlands of Africa.
The
And
Netherlands.
and one thing that it is the Netherlands of Africa. You know why? Because
Why?
Zimbabwe just legalized weed
Wait,
production.
bullshit. Bullshit.
Exactly.
Bullshit.
Exactly,
I
dude.
don't believe you.
It's like okay, it's not like legalized the use of weed. Let's
Just
get
the
that straight.
production.
The production of weed. So for
So you're
you to
telling me
get a
Zimbabwe is
license,
trying to start an export business of weed? Only
probably,
the
probably.
finest Zimbabwean weed.
Look, this sativa that we grow here is of the highest quality, my dude. You will get smacked off this shit, my nigga. That's who we trying to be. That's who we trying to be.
It's like
So
Wakanda,
yeah,
only with weed.
exactly. Yo, but like it's just like something. I don't know why they did it. To be honest, I have no idea why they did it. Politically, no one was asking for this, but it's
Wait,
basically
I have
says.
a question. I have a question. Okay, so
Mhm.
in Black Panther, right? I'm pretty sure we talked about Black Panther last time. Yeah, I'm sure we talked about it the last
Yeah,
time.
we did. We did.
You know how there's the heart-shaped herb? Isn't that just like
Yeah.
Isn't that just like drugs? Because it makes you strong.
I.
T'Challa
Wait, how is that
literally
like?
takes drugs.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. Listen. Yeah, T'Challa takes this magical drug that makes him stronger. But look, Captain America is basically some drugged up dude.
Exactly, he's
That
on
is
like
some.
super steroids.
That's some steroided dude. I mean, like, if someone stuck a
And you know
syringe
the
through
worst
his
part,
body,
people look up to these people like, oh yeah, I love Captain America. Oh yeah, why don't you just go take some experimental super drug that knocks you out of your mind?
yeah, look. I don't even know if Captain America is a superhero. I mean, Black Panther definitely is. Okay, there's no question about it.
Wait,
That
wait, 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 wait,
athleticism.
wait, 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 wait,
No,
wait,
no,
wait.
no, 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 no. He's got the claws. That's some superhero shit, dog.
Wait, shield. Captain America's got a shield.
Okay, dog, that's just a no.
All
What do
right,
you
all right,
mean?
all right. Okay,
What about the
okay,
shield?
okay,
That's
okay. Hold on, hold on,
okay.
hold
We
on.
haven't seen the
Wait, wait, wait,
shield
wait,
in
wait.
like three movies.
Okay,
Where's the
okay,
shield, dog?
listen. So Captain America's a man on steroids. Iron Man is a man with a metal suit. Black Panther is a mix of both. Neither Iron Man nor Captain America are considered superheroes by most people. Well, I mean, wait. I don't know why I said that.
Okay.
I don't know why I said that. They're very much real life possible. Okay, steroided up people are possible. Suits of armor are possible.
Yeah.
If you put a steroided man in a suit of armor, that's possible. Are they really considered superheroes if they don't have anything that's considered like
Okay, so like, we'll be going on the basis that a superhero, if we're gonna like question their superhero abilities, we'll go off the basis that to be a superhero, you actually have to be supernatural.
Yeah,
Um,
isn't that what a superhero
Captain
is? Otherwise,
America,
it's just a hero.
Captain America is just some jacked up dude.
Yeah,
Okay,
who's got like
that's
some
just basically it.
super shield.
Iron Man. No, the shield isn't part of the whole. Nah, the shield is nothing, dog. I haven't
No,
watched
but
Captain America.
wait. If Captain America had just a shield made out of metal, he'd probably get shot through the shield and bleed out to death.
Okay, tell me the background of the shield. I have not watched the first Captain America.
There's not much background. The background is that Tony Stark's dad got some vibranium out of Wakanda somehow, and he made it into a shield because that's obviously you get the strongest metal on Earth. What do you build? Oh yeah, a shield. Makes complete sense. But that shield then went to Captain America, and it's apparently indestructible. Well, I don't know if it's actually it's like super strong.
Okay, but I wouldn't say Captain America is the dude with the shield. Okay, like,
I would.
is he the dude with the shield?
Moving on. Fuck Captain America.
Nah.
Alright, let's talk about Iron Man, okay? A suit of armor, such as Iron Man's, is not impossible to make. I mean, sure, the recent one, the bleeding edge one, where it literally comes out of nanites, that's like 100 years in the future. But powered suits are already, exoskeletons are already a thing in a lot of research.
Yeah, but I think it's the fact that the power surges through Tony Stark. He's not just like his heart is made of the power. That shows that I don't know. There's some supernatural being
No,
within
no, no,
his
no, no.
mind.
There's nothing supernatural. Okay, let me explain the arc reactor.
I
So
know.
basically,
I know he was trapped, and then I don't know, like a piece of sharpener is in his thing, and he has to do something, and then something else happens.
All right. Okay, here's what happened. Right? He was in the blast radius of one of his own company's missiles, right? And a piece of shrapnel got lodged in his heart. But to keep it from puncturing his heart and killing him, the arc reactor powers an electromagnet that pulls the piece of metal back. That when it disables, it would shoot the metal into his heart and kill him, right? So but in the movies, he gets rid of the shrapnel because he's obviously some superpowered man who can do that, right? He gets like Pepper to pull it out or something, right? So
right.
forget the arc reactor, okay? The arc reactor, actually, don't forget the arc reactor. The arc reactor in the comics and movies is a very strong power source, right? Which I guess is not quite possible at this moment, and the suit isn't either. But look at it this way, right? Steroids exist, and to make a steroid with no negative side effects could become possible. All right, and okay, so Captain America steroids possible.
Wait.
Okay,
Yeah.
vibranium. Okay, there's already some super dense metals like tungsten. They're super heavy, but they could probably be alloyed into some form of super shield. Possible. Iron Man exoskeleton already exists. Could be stronger. Possible. Nothing supernatural. Captain America and Iron Man, totally possible in the future, right? Mix them together, you get Black Panther, totally possible in the future.
Okay, so like if it's totally possible, right? We should have a bunch of random dons out there saying, "Yo,
Wait,
man's out here with his suit of armor. What you gonna say, man? We shouldn't
but
even need like when Thanos rose up. If it's totally possible, if it's totally
okay,
feasible, we should
okay.
have like
Now
a bunch of
here's what I
random
think,
dudes
right?
saying, "Yo, what?" So like, why is Tony Stark besides the money? I mean, they should be like a million billionaires in this universe. Why is it Tony Stark's the only one who can say, "Yo, I'm gonna do this
Well,
this whole
because
weapons of mass destruction
wait,
stuff"?
okay, so they don't use their things for money because they don't need it. You see, the MCU is set in an ideal universe where superheroes are treated as such. In reality, if you had a super steroided man running around with a suit of armor, killing everything, or not killing, like saving people, there'd be people up in arms against vigilantism, against the distribution of power, uh, uh, like what he is in regards to militaries and government.
Right. Okay. Right, mate. A bit too deep. Okay, a bit too deep. I'm not gonna lie.
I feel
Okay,
like
so
I feel like
basically,
we've
the
really
crux,
diverted from what
the
we wanted to talk about this podcast.
yeah, the crux is that. Well, where did we even start? Jesus, my
All right.
right, right.
Let's just end this topic by saying what were we even arguing? That they're not superheroes? I feel like they're heroes. They're not superheroes. A superhero would
Well,
be like the Hulk,
well,
right?
superhero. I think the Hulk is super, but whether he's a hero,
Okay, bad example. What about
yeah,
Vision? Okay, he can literally phase through materials. That's
yeah.
pretty supernatural.
Vision, Spider-Man is probably a superhero. I mean, Spider-Man
Spider-Man
is
is.
the genuine
Uh,
ass superhero. Yeah.
I mean,
Okay. But with my the disposition of my skin color, I'm just basically conditioned to say that Black Panther is a superhero. There's nothing that you could say to suggest
no.
otherwise.
There's the thing. Like, what is the definition of a superhero? Because the definition of a hero is subjective to most people. Like, is a hero
Yeah,
somebody who
exactly.
does the right thing? Is a hero who's always idealistic? Is a hero who's, never afraid? Stuff like that. But I feel like
Yeah, food for
this
thought,
entire
dude.
this entire discussion is completely pointless because
Yeah,
people will consider their own superheroes, and there's, I can't say your fun is wrong, like your hero is wrong. I can't say that because that doesn't make logical sense, right?
wait. So who's? You know what? I'm gonna say that like Black Panther is not my favorite superhero. Matter of fact, you know what? Actually, what I was about to say was a bit. It's too heated. But Black Panther, I think Spider-Man, as like generic as that could be, that's my favorite superhero,
Honestly, I mean,
dude.
nobody even listens to these, so why are we even afraid of people getting offended by them?
Nah, nah. But we always gotta.
You don't want to
We
offend
always got.
Kabashi.
Look, Doug. Kabashi listens to this. If he hears what I got to say about Black Panther, no, I'll look coonish. I'll look coonish.
Alright,
The Negro community would not accept.
all right. I still remember that review from your friend who said I was super racist.
Oh, dude. Hey, hey, you see this? We get hate mail. We get hate mail,
It's
man.
good, man.
You know, you know who you are. You know who you are, man.
Yo, I ain't got nothing against it. Your opinion is your opinion. If you think I'm a racist, you're
Yeah,
probably right.
yeah. Okay, man. Let's
All right,
go back to
so
the tangent that we are. That
all
we
right,
are.
all right. So what I wanted to talk about, we were recording last time, like 10 minutes ago. We were recording while, not 10 minutes, sorry. Before we started recording this episode, we started a session, but I wasn't recording. But basically, what I wanted to talk about was something I've thought of last night while I was on the road. I mean, not driving. I was being driven because I'm a child. But I don't know why I said all those things. Anyways, so I came up with the 4 most probable causes of human society's obliteration or the collapse of human civilization as we know it. Okay, and I've sort of filtered them out into
Okay.
the four most probable and the four most dangerous collapses. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got them on my phone. Okay, because I put a lot of
I
thought.
mean, I like, I, so like you saying you came up with this? You actually like sat down and you were like, yeah,
Well,
this
I
is
didn't.
probably what's gonna
I
kill
mean,
us.
I didn't come up with these collapses. They already exist. I just thought and like sort of.
Oh,
I rated most.
oh, you synthesized it. Okay.
Yeah, basically, I theorized about it, and this is what I think. Okay?
Okay.
These are the four most probable causes. Okay, the first one is the downfall of civil society. Okay, now this could go in a bunch of ways. Okay, civil unrest due to government, uh, government strife or government combat. Like within itself, which would within others. What do you mean? Like between countries, right? So
Uh-huh.
something akin to a nuclear war, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
one of the most probable ones is that with all the growing unrest and the unequal, what am I saying? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, all the strife between all these different countries like the U.S., Russia, China, and North Korea, it's eventually going to erupt into nuclear war, right? And this is very probable because if you look at it, right, the Middle East is already unstable, so that's a whole pot of danger. On top of that,
Okay.
you
Right.
have the
Right.
U.S. and Russia, who are always, sort of
Well,
one-upping
always on
each
things,
other.
and then the
Top of
U.S.
that, you got
has.
North Korea, which really doesn't give a shit about anyone else. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I think that would be a fight amongst like the guys in the northern hemisphere. I don't think like all those countries you said, you're just like above or like at the top of the northern hemisphere. And
Well,
I
they're
don't
the
know
ones who
how
hold the power.
yeah, but like a nuke. Like let's like talk about the capabilities of a nuke. Tell me if a nuke were
Okay,
to land in San
I'm gonna
Francisco.
state. All right, listen. I'm gonna state a fact. Okay, the
Yeah.
U.S. and Russia, the former Warsaw Pact, NATO and the former Warsaw Pact combined hold enough nuclear warheads which can annihilate the globe several times over. That's how much nuclear power they both hold.
Wait, the globe? The globe? Wait, so how am I
The
gonna
entire
look, Doc?
planet.
How am I gonna get hit by a nuke? I'm here in Zimbabwe. How is
All
that
right,
gonna
all right. Nobody's gonna nuke
how?
Zimbabwe. All right.
No
I'm
one's
pretty
gonna
sure
nuke
Africa's
Zimbabwe.
not gonna
So
get nuked at all, except maybe South Africa, because they're a NATO
no,
country.
South Africa. No, South Africa ain't gonna. South Africa doesn't have nukes. Why?
No,
Why are
no,
they
no,
gonna
no.
get
It
nuked?
doesn't matter who has a nuke. When you're nuking, you want to target a bunch of things. You want to target major cities, you want to target nuclear silos, and you want to target possible points of retaliation. Right? Now, South Africa doesn't have any nuclear weapons, but
It has a nuclear silo.
as far as I'm aware, they do have. They're NATO allied. So I mean, it's not just nukes. A naval fleet or armed forces, anything that could retaliate. You want to target that, right? Obviously, most of the Muslim countries, all of the Muslim countries are going to get nuked.
Yeah.
Israel's going to get nuked. America's going to get entirely nuked. Even the rural areas, because most of the rural areas hold missile silos. Russia's going to get
Uh-huh.
destroyed, except maybe Siberia, because actually Siberia has a lot of silos, so they'll get nuked. China's going to get obliterated off the map, because nobody likes China. North Korea is just going to sink, because it's just going to be hit by so many missiles. It's going to go off. The Korean Peninsula will
Look,
stop
man.
existing.
Okay. So you know what? From what I'm hearing, the best place to be
Is
is
Africa.
Argentina. Yo,
Yeah. South America, in the middle of South America, or the middle of the middle of Africa.
middle of yeah,
Europe's gonna get
DRC.
wrecked because Berlin's gonna be targeted, Poland's gonna be targeted, UK's gonna be targeted, Europe's gonna be destroyed. There's not Europe will
So
not.
I'm just thinking about like the viability. This is the first point, right? Like I'm just thinking like everyone's gonna like get obliterated. Like I think I think the thing about nukes is that there's an air of like you don't know the
All right.
capabilities, like the
All right.
true, actual modern
Let me. Okay.
capabilities.
So
Nah,
I've
it's all
done.
good and well doing
Okay.
tests and stuff, and
No,
it's
no,
all
no.
good
It's
and
not
well
testing. I'm
basing it
talking.
back on Nagasaki and computer run models, but we haven't had the modern day like
All right. All right.
embodiment of
So
nuclear
let
power.
me tell you something. Okay. Um,
How are we supposed
throughout
to
the
know?
Cold War, there were a number of false launches. Okay, there was one
Uh
in
huh.
the U.S.
And yeah.
and the one in Soviet Union. I think there was a submarine who detected a false launch. In both of these situations, that was the closest we have ever been to global annihilation. But you know what stopped it? One man in each scenario. They saw the launch and they did not launch back because they either thought that it was not real or they just didn't want to kill people. So in
Yeah,
both of those situations,
I
they
heard
had
about one of
yeah.
like I heard about one of the instances. It was like just some random balloon was flying through Norway, and the Russians were like, "Yo, this is a missile." But then one dude was like, "Yo, can we just like calm down?" And then it
Yeah,
turned out to be just like a
because
balloon.
in those situations, in nuclear behavior or you know the situation, these submarines, silos, carriers, bombers, they have full authorization to use nuclear weapons if they detect an enemy nuke without authorization from the president or whatever. They don't.
All right.
If you're stationed in the Arctic in a Soviet submarine or a Russian submarine, you don't need Putin's command to fire if you detect an enemy launch. That's how it goes. So these people had the
Okay,
full capability to end the world, and they didn't.
okay. So nuclear annihilation is apparently the first point. What about
Yeah.
the second?
Okay, so the second one is overpopulation. Okay, and this
Mm,
so the 4 points I have all end with society being annihilated and like wept off the planet, right? This
yeah.
one is more like there's too many people. This one's the odd one out, but it's the second most dangerous one, right?
Mhm.
We are already sustaining a exponential growth in population, okay, due to a number of reasons. All right. Now, you might argue that a couple of countries like, this couple in Scandinavia or Japan, the population rates are lower. They're losing population because nobody wants to have
Yeah.
children, have babies.
Yeah.
But think about it. That's exactly the issue of overpopulation. In order to have, in order to live on a planet with finite resources, right, and be sustainable, there's a certain limit of people that a planet can sustain without breaking its resources, right? You're talking about solar food, that's all fine. But if you have too many people, you cannot sustain, right? It's not going to end well. So,
Yeah.
if you have uh, places like India and China, okay, China now has a one-child policy, so that's fine. But India, okay, eh, population growth is just growing. All right. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people trying to do good work and charity work where they teach about sex education and give out free condoms, shit like that, right? But you can't. They're trying to stop it, but it's a danger. Okay, I'm not saying this is actually going to happen, but these are the most probable, right? Population growth in countries like Africa, countries like India, countries like China, or the Asian
Yeah,
hemisphere.
I've heard about this. I've wondered. This is a fact in Africa actually. By 20, I think it's 30 or 50, the population of some major African countries is expected to double, right?
Yeah.
And I've just been. I think that
I
one is a
mean, you're
viable
going
one.
towards that world where you're trying to automate and get more efficiency, but none of that is going to have an effect if your population does not start to level off or stabilize to a point where it's beneath the breaking point of a
Mm.
sustainable planet, right? Now, okay,
So like
you're saying some
if we're
countries don't have.
overpopulated, if we're overpopulated, I'm just like thinking off the dome right here. I'm thinking diseases, and especially in
Exactly.
Africa,
And this ties
especially in
into my
Africa.
next form of collapse, right? But
Yeah.
basically, imagine this, right? You have places like Africa or Asia which are just spiking population, right? And they don't have the resources to support themselves, Whereas countries that actually are technologically superior to these places, such as Japan, or socially more developed, such as Scandinavia, their population is decreasing. So what you're
Uh-huh.
seeing is a decline in the population of
Uh-huh.
people who can actually do something that can save the
Yeah.
planet, and people who are uneducated, poor, and just capable, not capable of doing much. They're increasing. You have a deficit, and you know, it's just you can't save the planet. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah, dude.
but yeah, so this,
Like, yeah, that's
yeah,
that's that, that that that's a strong point. I feel it's stronger than the nuclear war thing because I think also with like globalization, what you risk happening is obviously this is already in full effect, but the refugee wave that is just going into Europe, I think that could further exacerbate if we're talking about
people are,
if we're talking about a plague wiping off people. I played
yeah,
Plague 2. I know how
Plague
this
Two.
shit works. So I can definitely see that being like a reality. I can definitely see like
The
the power
bubonic
behind
plague
that. Yeah.
to electric boogaloo, pretty much.
Simian flu, simian flu virus.
So
Yeah,
check this out. You know, people in Europe are like, don't let in refugees. We don't want refugees. What if,
uh-huh.
it wasn't refugees. It was just your own people. You're overpopulated. Nobody likes each other. Wars break out between each other over the
Yeah.
dwindling resources. Literally Thunderdome, right? Diseases.
Oh, dude, yeah. Yo, in Cape Town, I don't know if you heard, but in Cape Town, like the water got to a stage where people had to ration it
Yeah,
off.
yeah, 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 yeah.
You
Underneath
heard
that.
that, right? You heard
Yeah.
that. That was mad. That is mad.
And you know,
Imagine if that happens like in a place where there's not as much like where there's not as much civility, where people aren't as like sophisticated enough to just say, okay, right, we're gonna do this, and that could turn into an
see,
all right war.
bringing in Avengers Infinity War. Spoiler alert, this is your spoiler alert. If you have not seen it, you
uh,
can fuck right off.
if you
Thanos.
have not seen Avengers Infinity War, then actually, you know what? We're not remorseful in this spoiling.
Yeah,
No,
we
no,
just
no.
anyway,
Okay.
so Thanos uses his click, wipes out half of known universe, right? Here's the thing. A lot of people, right, were like, oh, if Thanos had the power of God, why didn't he just create more resources so that overpopulation could not be a thing? Oh yeah, so what? You want Thanos to just be like some fucking god creature just spawning in food? People are still gonna war, you know.
But wait,
People are not some
but just like on a
idealistic
practical that
superhumans that never fight, right? War will always exist, and people will always be assholes, right?
wait, does Thanos have the capabilities to do that? Does he have the capabilities to just
Well, I'm assuming if he has the capability to wipe out the souls of half of all known existence, then I'm assuming he has the ability to create a couple of boxes of food. You know what I mean? Um,
okay. Maybe you could create an illusionary
yeah, or that. There's so many people are
environment.
arguing that Thanos is an asshole because he did that. Okay, he might be an asshole. Correct. Okay, you know what?
M-
We don't know
m-
how the MCU works. But how about this? Take away from this. Thanos in the movie talked about overpopulation and how it can lead to ruin,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Take that from that only take that from the movie. What do you get? It's it's an amazing, well, not an amazing, it's a very pessimistic and sad, you know, outcome for our lives, but it applies here. Overpopulation will fuck over this planet, right? And this brings me on to my next point, which is a super plague, like you were talking about, right? The bubonic plague to
Okay.
electric boogaloo, right? I'm sure you heard.
Well, wait. Which plague would like completely decimate people?
Well, there
Because
was
like
the
In Africa, yo, I
Africa
never
like a
knew.
brewing cough virus. Yeah.
No, it's not that. I was
Imagine,
about to say
imagine,
like in
imagine the
Africa.
sequel to Ebola comes out. Ebola 2. Holy.
Oh, I think Ebola is already a sequel to AIDS, dog. Yo.
Dude. I'm sure you've heard in the news about super bacteria, which antibiotics don't work on because
Uh
they're
huh.
people just used up so many antibiotics that they're now resistant. The bacteria are now resistant to that.
Oh,
Take
I
that to
think
the
that's
next level.
people are not. I don't think that's people have used so much antibiotics. I think people just don't use them properly. You
Yeah,
actually
yeah, they
there's
use
actually
them
a proper
when
way to use
they
them.
use them for like anything, like any small.
Yeah, exactly. So that makes them just, you know,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, but you take that, right? Super bacteria, and
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor. I'm not like some fucking organic chemist or whatever. But from what I've heard,
Yeah.
you know, this is dangerous because
Oh well,
hold on.
yeah, I guess. But I think that
Because
ties in
if
too quickly.
you know you have these
That
super
ties
bacteria
in.
that can't be like stopped by medicine or whatever, and you obviously it's gonna start wiping out people, and you're not gonna have enough resources to like find a cure for it. Or
I think
you
with
know you have
that.
some like super virus that you know like the Black Plague or whatever just kills people, and then
Uh huh.
because there's so many people, there's overpopulation, it just spreads further, and then it's just like you know like a cascading effect that just fucks everyone over,
You know, to be
right?
honest, I think
And
that's
then the
too
last one,
close to
which
the.
probably should be third place, right, is
Yeah.
like an environmental disaster, right? Like a natural disaster because of you know, for example, global warming, right? Um, uh, you know polar ice caps
Global
melting,
warming.
stuff like that.
Global warming.
Um, sea levels rising, you know, extinction of you know
Yeah.
plant life, flora and fauna, leads to rising sea levels, wipe out you know farmland, industrial zones. Humans lose the capability to fight back, and eventually nature reclaims all. And that's you know
Yeah. You know
the
what?
last one.
Out of the
There you go.
four that you've
Those are the four
said,
most probable ends.
you know what? Like if I had to rate which one is more likely to like kill us all, I would
I
probably
feel
go for
like
the last one. The natural, like
probably.
everything just goes back to scratch. Because
Go
for
ahead.
me, like the other three, right, were contingent on they were dependent on like human failures to manage the situation, which I think I don't think that's
Wait.
going to in itself decimate the entire human race. I think it will cause to a demise of a lot of people, but the entire human race, I don't think
I
it will
mean,
ever get to that
maybe
stage.
yeah, maybe I got a little bit carried away. Maybe it's not you
Yeah,
know the end of the world, but I mean humanity
I mean
always
there will be
survives.
there,
You know, people always survive.
I'm optimistic to this to that the fact that it'll get to a stage. Of course, it'll get to a stage where people just wake up and say, "Okay, you know what, guys? Let's take an action here because da 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 da. This is not sustainable anymore."
Yeah.
However,
At some point,
with
survival instincts are gonna kick in, and people are gonna be like,
yeah,
"Oh fuck," you
at
know.
some point,
Yeah.
we're
Hopefully
not there
that comes
yet.
sooner rather than later, where we can actually
Yeah,
you know do something.
but with the natural demise, like with the natural just the natural reversal back into the state of zero, I think that's unavoidable. The polar what are they called? The northern polars, the northern and the southern
The
poles
poles,
are
the
both going to
polar ice caps.
neutralize. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're both going to come like what's it called?
I
They
feel
go
like this is why Elon Musk is like fuck Earth. It's Mars time, boys. You know, I feel like
even that Mars time shit, like, dog, come on. Do you know how long it's took for us to come to this civilization?
I mean,
Like
if you come
4,000.
to if you come to look at it, the growth of technology is exponential, similar to people, right? What we've achieved in the last 10 years has been more than we've achieved in the last 100 years. I think that was
Yeah,
actually the last.
but with a specific set of resources and a specific
Yes,
set of
yes,
techniques to
definitely.
find those resources, yes.
Yes,
But
we don't have that many
whether
resources yet.
yeah, whether you can find the same resources or you can use the same techniques to
I mean, we don't know
procure
what
them
lies
on
beneath
Mars.
the surface of Mars. We're not sure, but
Yeah, yeah. So that Mars business, I think it's just like Elon Musk and his fanboys jacking each other off. Because I
I
really
feel like
don't.
it's
I don't.
something to look forward to. It could
I
be
don't think
announced,
it's viable. I don't think it's viable.
it,
Like even in the next 10 years.
but what about the next 50? You're looking for options now. You know, Elon's looking for options. We're all looking for options. If this is our way out, then so be it. You know, if it's Mars, if it's fucking Europa, you know, if it's Planet X or whatever, we're looking for
Yeah.
X. Hopefully, the human race
Yeah,
doesn't
but
fuck itself over.
yeah, yeah. Hopefully, like that would be a shitty way to go.
Yeah. Honestly, like you come to think of it, you know, people are you know always crying about something. Humanity's always crying about something. Sexism, racism, trafficking. I'm not saying crying in a bad way. I mean, it's a good thing that you're stopping these things, right? But
Yeah.
they don't end the world. It ends the world of some people, but they don't cause the extinction of the human race. Whereas these things, they could very well warrant something close to that. I mean, stop worrying about. Actually, no. Keep worrying about what you're worrying, but be aware that these four probably trump all the other dangers out there right now.
Trump. Ah, dude.
Oh, oh my God!
It's
Wait! I swear to God, that was
Trump.
unintended. I swear to God, that was unintended. I'm not even.
You know what? Do I even care? No, I don't even care.
We're
I
all
was
gonna
about to
die
say
anyway,
something.
so.
I was about to say something about Trump, but I don't even care.
Honestly, people were like, "Oh yeah, the world's gonna end when Trump came out." So far,
He
he's only
hasn't.
fucked over America. He hasn't fucked anything else. So.
Hey,
looking
you know what? You know what? I almost gave him credit. You know that North Korea deal that was supposed to be going down like this month, right?
Yeah, the
I
cancer.
almost gave him credit.
Yeah,
Yeah, I almost gave him credit. I was like, yo, you know what?
his stupidity
This
has
is
actually done
working.
something good.
This is working. Like but I was amazed. There was like some biases that I just kept on hearing on like internet forums, right? Like I remember the president of South Korea saying Trump should get a Nobel Peace Prize for the work that he's done, right? And I was like, oh, you know, it's fair dose if you think so, Mr. President. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. But then, like online, people were like, "Ha, South Korean presidents just at it again, trying to jack off Trump."
I feel
I
like
mean, they.
I feel like this might be an unpopular opinion, right? I feel like this might be an unpopular opinion, but if you have power, you're bound to get shit done, be it good or bad.
Uh-huh.
In this case, it was a little bit of good. He's done a bit of bad. If you're in a position like Trump, where you're the most powerful man on the planet, you're probably gonna be able to do something, right? That's what I feel.
But I think also credit has to be given where credit was due. Okay, we're talking now. I'm gonna try and like put it back like to the I'm gonna try and put it back to obviously the moment in time where we thought we were gonna get like some breakthrough here, but you have to give credit where it's due, dude.
Yeah, you have to give credit where it's due. Don't get us wrong.
Some
Trump
some
is-
people are just some people are just like preconditioned to say everything Trump does is wrong.
people are, the what's the outrage, era of outrage or whatever. I forgot what it's called.
This is why I find myself like going in and out of like politics. Like sometimes I'll be like, yeah, man. Especially with Zimbabwean politics. Sometimes I'll be like,
We're getting to that age where we are politics. I mean,
yeah, but then like
way, but-
I no, like just let me finish. Like I start getting into it, but then I recognize how much of it is all about identity. Then I'm like, fuck that. Then I back away a couple
here's
of minutes, couple
Here's
of
a very
weeks.
serious question. Do you think how close do you think, because this is not possible to not be a thing, what do you think is the closest we can get to living in a world without politics? What do you think is
No. Without politics. What do you mean without politics?
because I know we can never make politics go away because it's a part of human identity. But do you think that someday we will win over politics and politics won't be like such a big deal? You know what I mean?
Do I think? No, I don't think so. I don't. If you think
honestly,
if that would be suggesting that there will be some utopia in which everyone's needs are
I
satisfied.
keep slipping into the sleep that is idealism.
No, there's no point in saying this because we're at the end of the podcast. Okay, so
Wait.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. It's been Cement aka Stones and your boy Unib is cool aka Dope Gamer aka That Pakistani Kid aka I don't know. What are the plugs
I
do
don't
you
even
got,
know what
man?
I'm called anymore.
Yeah. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this gang shit only. We'll see you next week. Sorry for delaying. Kabashi.
Hopefully
Peace.
this episode is worth publishing.
Boom, boom, shakalaka. Out.